They were tasked to do a welfare check. Yes, it's a risky job because you are out in the community, but you never consider the individual risks, I don't believe. I didn't.
In November 2023, police officer Jason Doig and 2 colleagues were called to an isolated property near the South Australian-Victorian border following a concerned phone call that 26-year-old Jaden Stimpson had shot a dog.
They try and locate Jaden on the property. All 3 of them split up to search.
Suffering from undiagnosed schizophrenia, Stimpson appeared with the firearm and started shooting. Brevet Sergeant Doig died at the scene.
This is the day that we always fear when it comes to policing in our state. It has been over 20 years in South Australia since a serving police officer has lost their life in the line of duty.
One of Jason's colleagues, Michael Hutchinson, along with the gunman, were injured in the shootout but survived.
Jason was an adventurer and he was definitely a great officer. Whether he's serving you a fine or taking you back to the station in the van, he was still fair about it.
Jason's death has had a profound effect on his family.
Love is stronger than death.
I think the thing that's so hard to deal with is that the future has been lost. We still have our past, we still have our memories. What we don't have now is the future.
Jaden Stimpson was charged with Jason's murder, but last month he was found not guilty due to mental incompetence.
We were prepared for that because I'd warned Mum, many months ago that that's probably the way it was going to go.
How is your mum coping now?
I don't think coping is. I don't think she'll ever. She's existing, but it's just so encompassing, and every day is just like a nightmare.
Jaden has acknowledged his actions has caused the death of Jason, and I accept that he was suffering a mental health episode. Doesn't make it any easier for the family. It doesn't make it any easier for Jason's close mates.
Police emergency, what's your location, please? Bank Street. And what's happening there?
South Australia's Police Commissioner Grant Stevens says it's a noticeable trend that his officers are spending more time on mental health taskings, and he's worried more could be seriously harmed or killed like Jason.
Female acting strangely, talking to herself. And do you have a quick description of her?
The reality is that police are always going to be the first on scene when we get a report about someone who's threatening harm either to themselves or another person, behaving in an aggressive or agitated manner, and that is invariably going to have a mental health component to it, more occasions than not.
In South Australia last year, police responded to almost 11,000 mental health incidents, a 26% increase in 5 years. It took more than 23,000 hours in total to deal with those incidents, a 108% increase since 2019.
You can't get away from the fact that if we are undertaking mental health taskings, we're not doing something else. And that something else may simply be proactive patrolling to prevent crime or to intervene early when we detect things that have not yet been reported to police.
Not only is it tying up resources, but the Police Commissioner is the first to admit his officers aren't best placed to deal with someone in a mental health crisis.
Police are not qualified as mental health clinicians. It can be the uniform, it can be, if it is a high-risk response and we are attending with lights and sirens, if it's more than one patrol, all of these things can have a significant impact on the person who is experiencing that mental health episode. We are police officers. Our remedies to a situation often involve detention. That is often not the best outcome.
It's a nationwide issue.
What we're seeing in New South Wales is roughly 43% of people who are either killed or harmed by police were experiencing a mental health crisis at the time. In Victoria, we're seeing that every 10 minutes someone is in need of mental health assistance that is being then responded to by police.
Human rights law firm the National Justice Project is leading a campaign to get the federal and state governments to back a complete health-led response. It would mean trained mental health professionals would attend to incidents when someone is in crisis.
So people may not know of any other alternatives and dial 000. What is the difference with international models is that there's an alternative option other than police.
South Australia is among states trialling a co-responder model where police are accompanied by experienced clinicians when attending some mental health incidents. But the National Justice Project wants police to be removed from the response altogether.
I think ultimately the most important thing that makes us different to the use of police is that we have no weapons, we have no use of force, and that there's a focus on keeping that person safe and also keeping anyone else that may be affected by this response safe as well.
Emergency responses are currently being examined, with an inquest underway into the Bondi Junction attack. 6 people were fatally stabbed by mentally ill man Joel Couchy before he was shot and killed by a New South Wales police officer.
If there was a health-led response in the Bondi Junction scenario, the very first thing they do would be call police, which is entirely appropriate.
The New South Wales government says it's examining alternative responses, but that it will always attend incidents where a weapon or a direct threat to life are involved. Victoria Police says it supports the introduction of a health-led response and will continue to work towards reducing involvement from police. Brett Doig supports new ideas being explored. In July, he'll deliver his victim impact statement about his brother's death to South Australia's Supreme Court.
The legacy, he's already got it because he's been remembered. His community came out, and I said at the unveiling of the memorial, Jason's legacy is the fact that you're all here, that you want to remember his involvement in his community, his care for his community.